Hey, welcome to Alio's world. We're going to get some hot water going there. I've got an arsenal of things that I use and take for my own health. And I buy a lot of these things. I'll get them bulk in these the big bags like this. And that might cost me $25. And oh my gosh, I've got, nutritional yeast to go in the cereal to get my B vitamins, and I'll put it in salads, and protein and B vitamins from the nutritional yeast. And then, oh my God, this stuff was interesting. Chayalwan Prakash, however you say that, which is an Indian mix of about 45 different things. I haven't used that much lately. It's kind of a spicy, sweet thing. But the one thing I'm going to do every day, I'll get up and I'll have one of these collagen peptide things for my skin, and then I'll take a sip of, maybe a teaspoon cod liver oil. It seems to be good for like joints and plus a bunch of other stuff. And then I'll take a little sip also of black seed oil, which is, they say, cures anything but death. And I actually had advice from this Asian fellow that was running an herbal business that was good for fatty tumors, like those fatty cysts that, they're not really damaging, but they're no fun either to have a bump on you. And I got a little bump on my back and a little bump on my shoulder. So, and I push on it and move it around, and it moves around, which kind of indicates it's a fatty tumor and not, something that's hooked up with my muscles and bones and like that. So I don't really use doctors much. And, some people, I call it self-medicating, and I self-meditate and I self-medicate, and I seem to get on down the road. And people will tell me, they'll say, well, all those ingredients, that must get really expensive. I can't do that. It would be expensive to buy a bulk amount of chaga extract, dehydrated. And that is an extremely concentrated form of chaga. And chaga is the fungus that grows on the side of the birch trees. Beech trees or birch trees, one or the other, up in the northeast United States, maybe the Northwest, and a lot of it comes from Russia, but it is the most powerful immune booster. The chaga is anti-cancer, antioxidant. On the list of antioxidants, if you looked at a graph, like blueberries would be down here, and acai, would be up here. Chaga is like, way up here on the antioxidants, which is like, keeps you young and beautiful and everything. The beet, this is dehydrated beet for blood pressure, and plus the color. Anything that's got bright colors like that, the beets. And then we've got, what else has the bright colors would be the pomegranate, the red. Flavonoids. The red, the colors, bright colors mean flavonoids, which do their own thing for you. The seaweed, this is an extract of seaweed. They extract it into a liquid and then boil it down and dehydrate it into a powder. So it, like the chaga being a extract dehydrate, is extremely concentrated. And the seaweed has so many minerals in it, and it's real salty. And it turns out if you take a pinch of, maybe a half teaspoon, a little less of the seaweed extract, and get that salt with the minerals, then you can take that with a drink of water, and it makes that water so it can go into your cells and hydrate them. It's necessary to have those minerals with the salt to get it in there and hydrate. And you can use the pink Himalayan or those other mineralized salts for that to get yourself hydrated. If you use just the regular salt in your diet, it will not help you hydrate. It doesn't work. You have to have those minerals with your salt. I use a little bit of xylitol for sweetening my tea, and a little bit of stevia just because I like the sweetness with my tea. I'll put some lion's mane in there because it's got the antioxidants, and it makes your brain work better, right? It's a brain one. Burdock is like the rest of these things, antioxidant, has its own compounds that work on various aspects of your health and all. Turmeric, anti-inflammatory, and a little flavorful. But I'll always put, like, you could buy that in pill form, real expensive little bottles in little pills, but I'll just buy a bulk at the health food store, pay it like $1.25 for an ounce of it, and I'll put, 3 or 4 pills worth into my tea, morning and evening. I do this morning and evening, this whole routine. People say that's a lot to do. It's like, yeah, well, going to doctors is a lot to do too. And yeah, I spend some money on getting this stuff. If I buy, say on an average, I got like, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I might have $200 into big bags of this stuff so I can refill these bottles. And people say, oh, I can't afford to do all that natural stuff. It takes too much money and time. It's like, well, how much time and money are you spending at one visit to your doctor, paying your deductible, and then paying for their prescriptions, and then finding out if it works or not, and finding out what those prescriptions are doing to you other than the things you wanted them to do to you. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and latch my camera up here. I'm going to fix up my tea. I'm going to go ahead and move all my little medicines over here where I can reach them real easy. And it looks like, ready to go. I'm going to get my hot water out here, get it, at least turn it on, get it boiling. And I always like to add a little squirt of lemon and a touch of honey. This is mullein, which is for your lungs. I grow my own tobacco, smoke a pipe, and not a lot, just a couple puffs works. But the mullein cleans your lungs out. It's the world's best expectorant. So I like to add a little bit of that also to my tea to help my lungs stay open and clear. This will be for, sometimes I can use the powdered ginger, but I like the fresh ginger a lot more, really. And ginger also has its own properties, antibiotic and all this good stuff. So I got this nifty little grater, and I can fix up about a teaspoon of that ginger. And then I can just hang this back up on my magnets there, up at the ceiling there. I keep this little thing right here around to kind of clean up my messes. Now all these powders are real fine, so I can just put them like straight into my tea. So I'm going to put, I didn't mention the dandelion. Dandelion root was supposed to cure prostate cancer. And being an old guy like me, I'm 68, headed for 68. And I had some of those symptoms and things. And so I thought, well, this other guy healed his by taking dandelion tea every day. So I said, okay, I'm going to add chaga. I'm going to have dandelion in there. And we're going to put some turmeric. Some people will mix up a big batch of this stuff and then just pull some out. For some reason, I like doing it fresh. Now the beet, I want to put about half a beet's worth of powder in there. This is powdered beet, so I put about I don't know, maybe almost headed for a tablespoon of the beet in there. And this is the powdered ginger, but since I already cut up the live ginger, I'm going to go ahead and put it into my little, boy, that's stuck. There. Into my little tea strainer. There. I don't really want all the ginger. I mean, I could chew it up and, while it's floating around in my tea. Lion's mane. You get about like a tea bag, like you had a tea bag, because I'm having a cup of this morning and evening. A little pomegranate makes it sweet and colorful. Speaking of color, one thing I didn't mention is methylene blue, which is it's really different, and it's something that people are kind of controversial. But when I read about what it does, it makes your blood carry more oxygen makes your blood vessels relax. And so I thought, yeah, since I would have to watch my blood pressure, and sure enough, when I started using it, the pressure went down. I started with 10 drops of it, which was like maybe a little much for me, and then went to 5, and now I generally use 2 or 3 drops of that. And after I get the rest of this mixed up, so we're going to sweeten it a little bit with a touch of stevia and a little bit of xylitol. Get that a little bit of sweetness. Xylitol also is an antibacterial, which is interesting. You know, after you brush your teeth, do a mouthwash with xylitol, and it kills the bad bacteria in your mouth that eat your teeth, and proliferates the good bacteria that are good for your teeth. Mangista, I don't know how to say that. Manjistha, mangista. It's good for a bunch of things, but I don't use it a lot because it's constipating. So if you ever have diarrhea or something, you know, you go for mangista. Or if I'm a little loose, I'll use it for the other benefits that it has. You have to look this stuff up. Each one of them has a long list of benefits. And, you know, I'm mainly looking for the antioxidants and, yeah, anti-cancer, antioxidant, immune boosters, energy performers, mitochondria. That's what this thing, the blue, methylene blue, makes your mitochondria, your energy production in your cells. And it really makes you feel good. You know, I mean, if people use it for depression, because, I mean, it actually, all the extra oxygen and everything, I guess, whatever, makes you feel good, you know. So I had a little bit of burdock. Now I'm going to get some hot water in there, and we'll get this thing going. It's going to be interesting color stuff going on here because, you know, we've got the, get this out of the way again. So, put that over here where I usually keep it. Whoa. And so I can mix that up right there so you'll be able to see the color of this thing. I got a little tiny whisk that I put in there and just rant like that. Get it all to mix up real good. Then I'm going to get my little tea strainer into there with the ginger in it. And I'll go ahead and squirt some lemon in there. And we'll top that up, pour that through to ginger. Go ahead and top this tea up. And you can see we got kind of a bright red going on there. And beautiful color. Beautiful color. Kind of reminds me of the color that I get from my kombucha that I'm making. You know, that red, get those flavonoids and a prickly pear in there. It's prickly pear kombucha. Put a little bit of pomegranate in it too. But that prickly pear is, you get all those flavonoids and anti-diabetes compounds. I don't know I have diabetes, but the doctor did tell me I should keep an eye on it. Like I was like, you're borderline, but I'm going to add a little bit of mullein. Just like I had, it's just the mullein leaf crushed up. And like a good dose of mullein in there. And we'll get that. I should have put that in there before I poured the water, the last of that water in, but this will work. We'll let that soak there for just a little bit. I guess ideally, you know, I would let that sit there for 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes to kind of really let its stuff out. Seeing as how we're kind of doing this video today, I'm just going to drain that out of that ginger and mullein. Get that ginger and mullein down in there. I already took a sip of my black seed oil and my cod liver oil. I already took a sip of that this morning. Here's the, got a little bit on the table there. This is the methylene blue, which is really an interesting stuff. This was an industrial dye in the 40s. And then there's been 2, 3 drops. There's been a lot of research on it through the decades. And nobody's been able to find anything wrong with it unless you're doing like really super heavy doses. And then you get people that will argue, well, we just haven't been doing it long enough, haven't tested it enough, and we haven't this and that and this and that. But so far, can't find anybody that's using reasonable doses that's having any problems. People have problems. Like it'll turn your brain blue, turn your heart blue, turn your innards blue if you're doing like 20, 30, 40 times the doses that people use, like a 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, maybe 10 drops. The heavy doses in the normal range are like 25 drops, from what I hear. The doses that are hurting people are like 20 or 40 times that. So we stay down around, I just stay down around 2 or 3 drops because it does improve not just the way I feel, but if it's improving oxygen delivery, oxygen deprivation is a contributor to cancer. You got to get that. You got to know that. And so there we go again, bumping my little stand. So anything that'll increase the oxygen, and staying away from things, of course, that decrease the oxygen is going to be kind of an anti-cancer thing. I like to add a little bit of local honey, in that thing, and because it makes it taste really good. And the local honey, it's supposed to be good for your allergies. A little bit of a sugar, and there's a lot of sugar in here. I got the beet sugar, the honey sugar, the xylitol, which really doesn't act as much like a sugar. It's a sweetener that cleans your teeth, but and stevia is stevia. I get a little bit of stuff floating on there just from the burdock that I had put in there. It's got little parts and pieces left in it. So anyway, that is the deal, and that is a beautiful, beautiful tea, and it's nice and hot, and it's good. It is good. So I can really enjoy it. I can sit down and just live my life, work my program, sip on some tea in the morning, and then at the end of the day, in the evening, I'll fix up another batch. Made kind of a mess. We'll work on the mess. And live long and prosper. And so far, like I've been to the doctor a couple times. I don't know, in the last few years, I've been to the doctor a couple times. Once when I got my ear, you can see a scar on the back of my ear because a 4x4 pole went whack and hit me in the head, and it knocked me out, cut my ear in half, and they fixed it. And then when I hurt my back, I went to the doctor. And when I was trying to get the doctor to agree that I shouldn't wear a mask at Home Depot. I got fired from Home Depot because I couldn't wear the mask, right? I had pneumonia a couple of years before. I needed all my breathing. I couldn't wear a mask, and it was an assault on my own spirit, to be told to do that thing, like an act of submission, when I knew it wasn't really helping prevent the COVID virus from reaching me, because that's a fact. It doesn't help, and it didn't help. And so, anyway, I never had the vaccine, and when I do get sick, I use the 1% iodine nasal flush. I'll snort it up, pour it in, snort it up, 1% iodine, and then I'll gargle with it every 5 hours if I start to catch something. And it knocks it back to make it really, really tolerable. Any virus, it doesn't matter if it's a COVID, a bird flu, a cold, or a flu, anything. The iodine flush works. So I'm pretty much independent, taking responsibility for my own stuff. I think spending a lot less money in the long run. And I trust some of these ancient things a lot more than I trust what the pharmaceutical companies are coming up with. And plus, I need to be happy to heal. Anxiety and fear constricts everything. Every cell is a microcosm of your own bigger self here. And when you constrict up here in fear, every cell as a microcosm constricts. And that communication, they're like singing a song together, like, oh, we this and we're going to do that, and we this and we that, and we. And then you have that stroke of fear, and they all close up, and it's like, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. You know, it's like, anyway, that's what I believe, and that's what I've experienced. I've heard it from other places too. And y'all know that fear and anxiety, what it does to your immune system, and that's kind of why, maybe part of why, anyhow. It feels true enough. So, you know, be happy. You know, choose your healing modes that make you happy and that you're happy doing, and be happy that you can do it, and grateful that these things are provided, and, you know, with an attitude of gratefulness and happiness and faith and trust in the things that nature's provided, and a little bit of what science has provided. And if science cuts my, I mean, if I cut my ear in half again, I will go to science to get it sewed back on. So anyway, that's most of my medicine that I'm using right now. You know, other than the psychological help that I get from other plants. I'll let you know about that someday, maybe. And so have a beautiful day. Take care of yourself and take care of your medicine. Get it, bottle it, put it where you can take care of it, and use it, and enjoy a long, happy, prosperous life. All right. Have a great day. Welcome to Alio's world, and hope to talk soon.